Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. This is a brand new What If. What if Tanjiro was reborn with his memories? And as always, if you guys enjoy, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, this would be, I wouldn't say less story based or anything like that, but it's going to be a little bit more like what I think would happen in basically every scenario up front. And yeah, if you guys enjoy, like I said, please show some love to the video. And as always, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I want to get right into it. So let's get it. The beginning of this story is has all to do with Tanjiro. Tanjiro shows back up in his original body as a baby and then grows up. But as he grows up, he starts regaining all of the memories he once had in his past life. Now, it's a little odd because he's back where he started all over again. But he's thinking to himself, maybe this is a chance for him to actually save his family. And he begins to believe like there's an actual chance for him to do so. But when that day comes, he starts thinking about it. He's been preparing, he's been training here and there. I mean, he's not able to full on train like a demon slayer, you know, right now or right here and right now. But he starts kind of thinking about various ways that he could stop the deaths of his family. And he tries to figure out anything, right? He tries to kind of come up with the idea of getting them out of there, moving them to a different location, and he actually does try to do this initially. And this whole idea goes pretty well for a tiny bit, but once he starts getting into unknown territory where he doesn't know when things are gonna happen or what is gonna happen, he starts realizing that this part of his life, the death of his family, and the demonization, I don't know, well, you know, the turning of Nezuko into a demon is a foregone conclusion. Because when he gets his family to safety for a little while, days, maybe even weeks would pass, but eventually Muzan would show up. Because he believes that this family has the key to conquering the sun. And this would all happen when Tanjiro is actually not there, leading to the same events that, you know, the normal events to actually happen. But this time around, Tanjiro doesn't actually meet up with Giyu Tomioka. He doesn't even run into him because of the situation that is in front of him. But he takes his sister, makes sure that she's, you know, out cold or knocked out to an extent, which he definitely can do with some extra training that he's been doing his entire life, and then eventually heads off to the location he knows so well, and that is toward, you know, Urokodaki. So he heads over towards Urokodaki, and he does run into a temple demon, but that's not an issue. Tanjiro is a lot stronger and a lot better in this scenario. And yes, he didn't train and he's not perfected water breathing or anything like that, but he is definitely more prepared than you would really think, right? More prepared than some typical kid, right, out of nowhere that would run into a demon out of nowhere. Now, with that said, he would handle business here with the temple demon and even meet up with Urokodaki, and Urokodaki would have a million questions for him. Like, we're talking a million of them. He would ask him a ton of questions. He would tell him about Nezuko, about her being a demon and yada yada yada. And he also tells him about various other things that Tanjiro would know nothing about. Explains about aspects of water breathing. Explains about different training mechanisms that Urokodaki would use to actually have Tanjiro be in peak performance. And all of these things would allow him, or will allow Urokodaki to actually realize, wait a minute, this kid is telling the truth. He is actually telling the truth. He is from the future. He has been reborn with memories of the future. In which Urokodaki, well, he asked Tanjiro, he's like, okay, you have these like whereabouts, you know, these whereabouts, you know everything about the future, so what can we do about it? In which Tanjiro tells them that at the end of the day, they do end up winning. They do end up, you know, actually surviving and living to see another day. But the thing is, a lot of them die. Almost a good chunk, if not all of them, either have death or kind of, have substantial injury. And Urokodaki hears this and asks him, what do we got to do to stop all the death? What do we got to do to make sure that everything is okay? And he tells them that they need to prepare. Not only prepare himself in terms of Tanjiro, but there's a lot of people that he can save with being just stronger than normal. In which Urokodaki tells him, okay, well, let's just start right now then. And he asks Tanjiro, like, what do we normally do with Nezuko and blah, blah, blah. In which he explains to Urokodaki what he ended up, or what Urokodaki did. And Urokodaki's like, oh, you know what? I was already going to do that in the first place, so I guess I'll just do that. Tanjiro begins training with Urokodaki. And the basically mastery of as much as possible is, like, in terms of water breathing, concentration breathing, constant. All of it happens in a very quick succession because Tanjiro is more than prepared to learn all of this. He pushes his body through every single, like, prior training that he is known of, and he continues to push himself beyond imagination, trying to push his body further and further. And eventually he would also start working with sun breathing, in which Urokodaki's in shock that Tanjiro can use it, right? He was able to master, well, quote unquote master, water breathing in a matter of months, but now he's obviously at a high level in terms of sun breathing. And as he's doing this, Tanjiro is upping the ante, pushing the boundaries of the power he has, and he's even trying to up his ability to utilize other complicated, like extremely complicated techniques that he would basically be able to utilize at the end of his, his journey as a demon slayer. Now, all of it isn't easy, right? It's far from the idea of easy, but at the same time, him having prior knowledge and his body kind of understanding things quickly is something that he is definitely able to put into practice. But bare minimum, he knows concentration breathing constant, and he has a really good handle on sun breathing, knowing a multitude of forms even before he goes off to the final selection or his first actual challenge. And Urokodaki asks him if this is the most prepared he's ever felt, or is he more prepared now than he was in the past? And Tanjiro tells him that he is by far more prepared than he would possibly imagine. And Tanjiro tells him that he's probably on the level, if not past partial levels, of some of even the Hashira or former Hashira. And Urokodaki would agree, saying that in terms of former Hashira, you most likely have surpassed. You have surpassed former Hashira for sure, but on top of that, you seem to be on the cusp of already being as strong as most Hashira, and you haven't even gotten a chance to slay a real demon with a Nichiren blade. In which Tanjiro nods his head and tells him that he will slay every demon within the final selection, and every single demon slayer, or at least future demon slayer, will come out unscathed. And that's exactly what Tanjiro does. He enters, he slays every single demon there without even flinching, right? Without even thinking a second or blinking even like a second, and he eliminates all the demons within the final selection. And even Kanao is in shock by how strong Tanjiro is giving off, this aura that Tanjiro is showing. And on top of that, the power of Tanjiro giving off this ability to use sun breathing, but also utilize various other demon slayer techniques that, let's be honest, a lower level demon slayer would never ever be able to utilize. And that right there is something that many people, many demon slayers alike, will not be able to believe. And in terms of just, his missions, his early on missions, I mean, they're very easy. Final selection is over. He gets his Nichiren ore, gets his Nichiren blade, and his first encounter with the swamp demon is nothing, like genuinely nothing. He kills him in a matter of seconds, and then the same thing would ensue as he pushes across the missions. But the thing is, when he faces with Muzan, he tells Muzan something, that here right now they're not gonna fight, but they will fight in the future, and he will end up losing, and he will never ever become immortal. And Muzan hears this and he is pissed. Muzan is absolutely livid hearing what Tanjiro had to say, and Tanjiro tells him flat out, like, you are not going to be the demon you think you are. You are not going to be all powerful. You are going to be nothing, and you are going to find out exactly why before you know it. Because when your highest ranking demons start collapsing and falling, you'll realize very quickly that this idea of immortality is not so easy. In which Tanjiro tells him this basically to bait him into really kind of his ego, right? And pushing his ego further, thinking like, what does he know? Like, he's just a kid. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to get whatever I want, and I'm going to get as much as I ever wanted. And yes, he still sends Suzumaru and Yahaba after Tanjiro, but Tanjiro walks, like, doesn't even have to really look at them. And before you know it, faster than basically the speed of light, he's utilizing kind of like God speed, right? Part of Zenitsu's ability, utilizing the first form of thunder breathing, and he slices through the neck of both of them instantaneously. And when Susumaru, or when Yushiro and Tamaya would see this, they would realize that this kid is telling the absolute truth about everything and truth about all of the above. And he tells them that they're gonna have to work with a Hashira. Yes, with a Hashira to make sure that they can defeat Muzan, but they need to make whatever this creation of basically this, this ability to cure demons and this poison, they're gonna need to create something even more powerful, even greater than normal. And Tanjiro makes this very clear because he says that he will not lose his friends ever again. He will not lose the people he loves and cares about ever again. And that is a statement Tanjiro will keep true to his word, because eventually he would meet up with Zenitsu, and then he would go to the mansion and he would kill Kyogai without a second thought, ending all the demons within this mansion, at least with the help of Inosuke and Zenitsu. And he would get the blood of them as well, not even trying to forget anything, right? He doesn't want to forget his ability to get the blood so that they can get the cure and all that stuff. So he's making sure he's getting all of it that they need, the blood of the 12 Kizuki, or at least the former 12 Kizuki, and so much more. And as the mansion is cleansed, the three of them would finally group up as a team, and Tanjiro would start telling them various things about them, and telling them that they need to train harder, work harder, and up the ante even further. And he tells Zenitsu that he can create something greater. The first form may be the only thing he can use, but sharpen it beyond its idea. Sharpen it till it can no longer be any sharper than you could imagine, right? Do stuff that allows you to push the boundaries of the first form. Create something greater. And he basically tells them and tells him about various things that could potentially ensue. He doesn't tell him about Kaigaku and doesn't really say anything about all that, being that he doesn't know a ton about it, but he also doesn't want to, mess with the course of events too much until it's time to potentially save his master. But the thing is, his master, no matter what, if Kaigaku turns to the demon side, will always commit Sambuku. So at the end of the day, it's not much he could really do about it. But eventually, they would head to Mount Natagumo after some time of rest. And this is when the Hashira are preparing to actually come and help. But before you know it, they start hearing that various demons are being slain. Before you know it, the mother spider demon is slain, the father spider demon is slain, the son spider demon is slain, and all that is left is Rui. Obviously, Shinobu comes to handle the daughter spider demon, but Rui is the last thing, and Tanjiro tells him that he should have never treated his family that way. He should love, cherish every moment he has with them and treat them with the utmost respect. And Rui is about to basically say something along the lines of like, what do you know? Like, you're nothing. And out of nowhere, Tanjiro is behind Rui with Rui's head clattering on the ground. And Tanjiro tells him that he is somebody who cares for his family, that did everything for his family, but it still wasn't enough. And he still had his family pass on to the afterlife. But he hopes that his family still looks at him fondly while he saves lives, and as many lives as he possibly freaking can. And after the defeat of Rui, Giyu and Shinobu would show up, and Giyu this time around would be in shock, thinking, this must be the kid. This must be the one Urokodaki spoke about. Giyu would walk up to him, ask him some questions, asking him who he is, and obviously he is Tanjiro Kamado, in which Giyu would look at him and nod his head and says that Urokodaki has told him a lot about him, and he has told him what needs to happen, so that is exactly what they're going to do. And as Shinobu goes to strike Nezuko, well, Giyu stops her immediately, and Tanjiro tells her quickly to stay calm. That is his sister, and his sister is completely in control, and you have to believe me. In which Giyu would look at her and nod his head, but Shinobu, I mean, she wouldn't be thinking about that. She'd be like, that is ridiculous, right? You can't really convince her otherwise. Kanao would even try to do, get to Nezuko too, but Tanjiro is way stronger than Kanao, and he pushes her back as well and protects Nezuko until the crows sound and tell them to all stop and bring back Tanjiro and Nezuko. Now, obviously, this conversation goes very similar, if not exactly the same, but outside of the fact that Tanjiro would then tell them that he has been to the future. He has seen them win. He has seen them conquer Muzan, but they all need to listen right now, because truly, he doesn't know what to do to convince them or anything, right? Convince them otherwise, but they need to understand, in which he then looks toward Tengen and Rengoku and picks out little bits of their lives that he would have no recollection, no anything about. And Tengen and Rengoku would immediately be on the side of Tanjiro. And Tanjiro would even do this with the stories of the other demon slayers, telling them about it, in which some of them are questionable. They're like, nah, you wouldn't have known that. Or Shinobu would even question it and be like, Giyu must have told you something. But Tanjiro explains all of their stories, and eventually they would agree to listen. And obviously Ubuyashiki would have Tanjiro and Nezuko become actual demon slayers. But he tells them that this time around, he wants them to all be more prepared than you could possibly imagine. In which Tanjiro tells them that Akaza, an Upper Moon 3, will show up before you know it at the Mugen Train, and he knows that him and Rengoku can defeat him. In which they say, why not just, attack him all together? We can show up. We know where things are going to happen. But he tells them that if that ensues, if that they decide to do it that way, there's a high likelihood that he conquers his ability to have his head chopped off. And he tells them that Muzan Kibutsuji can only be killed by the sun. And as these things are being told, and as training would begin, Tanjiro would prepare himself. Like, legitimately, he would start building up his abilities. He would start perfecting sun breathing, and he basically has perfected it at this point. But he also knows that he needs something else. He needs the ability of the see-through world. Tanjiro Kamado needs the ability to truly be able to take down Akaza without him realizing he's even there. Obviously, he needs, basically that state of being, right? He needs the transparent world and selfless state to make sure that Akaza cannot sense him and cannot understand what's going on by any means. And that's exactly what Tanjiro prepares himself for, and that's exactly what he basically heads towards when he's preparing himself for this specifically. And eventually, after all the training, after all the preparations, and as he works with countless Hashira along this idea, eventually they would head off to the Mugen Train, and Tanjiro would be side by side with Rengoku, and they would slay all the demons, not getting caught out by Enmu because, well, they know what's going to happen. Like, they knew about Enmu's sleep thing and all that stuff, so they're prepared for all that. And then eventually, after the defeat of Enmu with a very easily, right, Tanjiro would be face to face with Akaza for the first time. But for Tanjiro, it is not the first time. He tells Akaza that Muzan has been using him, that he's been using him this entire time, and Akaza doesn't even remember where he came from, what he once was. But it doesn't matter now, because he'll show him exactly what he once was, in which Akaza would fight Rengoku and Tanjiro together, but he would start realizing that Tanjiro is far from a joke. His power seems to be ridiculous, and on top of that, before you know it, Tanjiro would go for the killing blow, utilizing his like selfless state, making it so he cannot be, figured out. He cannot be figured out in terms of the battle capabilities, and not be able to sense killing intent and all that stuff. And Tanjiro would awaken his Demon Slayer mark and slice the neck straight off of Akaza, and he would tell Rengoku to back up right now. They need to back up and prepare for a potential fight with the body of Akaza. And that's what they start doing, fighting the body of Akaza, and they're somewhat struggling, but not to the degree you would expect. But this would lead to Rengoku also unlocking his Demon Slayer mark as well. Unlocking his Demon Slayer mark and continuously pushing further and further. But eventually, the death of Akaza would ensue, and Akaza's body would hit the ground, and he would basically dissipate into nothingness. And Tanjiro would look at Rengoku and ask him, "Do you believe me now? Is there any shadow of a doubt at all with what just ensued?" And Rengoku would tell him that he believes him. There's no doubt in his mind that he is not only from the future, but he has memories of that future, and memories that will help them make sure that all the demons are slain and Muzan is defeated. Now, Muzan obviously is like, what the hell is going on? How did this happen? How is Akaza dead? It doesn't make sense. It makes zero in its entirety. But Tanjiro, well, he's just thinking to himself, like, all I want to do is prepare, right? That's all they begin doing, is preparing. And in terms of Daki and Gyutaro, they're actually not even at the location they are normally, because Muzan would call for all of them to come back, believing that he needs to speak with every last one of them for the potential kind of battle that is going to eventually arrive. Tanjiro continues preparing with so many all around them. He prepares with Shinobu and so many more too, to basically give them any insight they possibly can, especially on the potential cure that is needed for these demons. Now, obviously, with Tengen's wives being safe now, and the demons of Daki and Gyutaro kind of being out of the picture, at least for the moment, it is kind of, there are some big question marks on what's going to happen. But of course, Tanjiro does basically tell Tengen that eventually Daki and Gyutaro will come back, and they need to extinguish them quickly, explaining their weaknesses and how they need to be defeated, in which eventually that would happen. They would find the likes of Daki, slay Daki and slay Gyutaro at the same time, and have Tengen awaken his Demon Slayer mark as well. And in doing so, this also pushes the boundaries of what Zenitsu and Inosuke can truly do. Not quite awakening their Demon Slayer marks, but same with Nezuko, still awakening even further power with the defeat of Daki and Gyutaro. Yes, Tanjiro is insanely powerful, but it's not like he's going to just straight up one-shot both these two by himself. He still needs a little bit of help here and there, and he does get that. He gets plenty of help, and all the training up until the Swordsmith's village would be so fruitful for Tanjiro. By this time, he is beyond what he once was, right? He's beyond the future of, of him being a demon slayer. He is a Hashira to its core, and he is basically introduced as such as the sun-breathing Hashira. And that right there, well, it proves how insanely powerful Tanjiro is with the memories from the future, right? He continues to get stronger and stronger, and eventually he would work with, or work toward the Swordsmith's village. He would train with, the likes of Genya, Muchiro, Mitsuri, and stuff like that. Even make sure to train with the Yorichi Type 0. And he gets a ton of amazing training done and preparation done to its highest degree. And in terms of Hantengu, he knows how to defeat Hantengu very easily. So he doesn't really have to worry too much about a long-winded battle. But what he does know is he needs Muzan to truly want and think that he needs to come out and get Nezuko, because that right there will be the reason why Muzan shows up and the reason why they still will have that upper hand. And he makes sure that the fight goes a little bit longer than it really needed to, still avoiding all casualties. Nothing happens that is bad, but Nezuko does get the opportunity still to conquer the sun. So this would lead to Muzan having his own preparations to hunt down Nezuko. But through this time, the Hashira training arc, training with various Hashira, training with everybody, with Giyu, with so many more, and also telling them all the information that he has had from the previous battles. Like, he doesn't know everything, right, about Doma and about Kokushibo and stuff like that. He doesn't know all of it because he wasn't there for all of it, but he tells them all as much as he can. But he also tells them that they cannot fight thinking that they are, trying to stop death itself. In which Shinobu, well, he basically tells Shinobu, like, he's going to fight alongside her to see if they can somehow stop the inevitable that she believes is inevitable, where she believes that she is basically willing to sacrifice herself for the greater good, and that she's going to basically sacrifice herself so that everybody, or that Doma is defeated, and Kanao and or whoever can actually defeat this monster that killed her sister. But Tanjiro tells her that with all of them together, with a more manufactured and better version of the poison she's creating, and the cure as well, the better version of the cure, that should be enough for them to truly defeat Doma without losing any lives, and defeat the rest of the demons without losing lives as well. Because at the end of the day, there is no Akaza, there is no, like Daki and Gyutaro, there's no, a lot of these demons are defeated already. So when Tanjiro goes in and he goes to face off with Muzan and starts the fight, he gets sent away to the Infinity Castle, and he meets up with Shinobu and eventually Kanao, and they begin an onslaught on Doma. Now, it's not an easy fight by any means necessary. Doma is a powerful being, but Tanjiro is relentless. And this is a version of Tanjiro stronger than the endgame version of Tanjiro that we saw. And with an eventual rival of Inosuke, and with Shinobu still poisoning him, just normally, Tanjiro would eventually find the neck of Doma and would find the end of Doma as well. And this battle itself would be a difficult one because of the cold and all the above, but this is a perfect battle for a sun breather, and Tanjiro utilizes his Demon Slayer mark to its highest degree, and Tanjiro pushes himself to a different level, allowing Shinobu to actually live this time around against Doma, and getting the utmost revenge that they wanted so badly against the one that ended her sister. But she knows now that he is now gone, defeated, and destroyed. And on top of that, she now sees that basically they're able to not only defeat that disgusting creature, but they were able to actually not lose her life, so she can still be there for Kanao and the future, right? The future that is to come very soon. But Tanjiro, right after that, bolts off to see how the fight with Kokushibo is ensuing, because he believes that this fight is something he needs to be a part of as well. He tries his best to actually get over there to help out as much as he can, but getting, like, you know, stopping death in this battle is very difficult. Yes, you have a stronger Tengen and Tengen that's fighting in general, but also a Rengoku that is alive and quite a bit stronger. But it doesn't change the fact that Kokushibo is an elite swordsman, and a ridiculous one at that, making it very difficult for them to actually defeat this demon. But with Tanjiro there, yes, he would look at Tanjiro and be angry seeing his brother in a way, but in another way, it would kind of make him realize, like, wait a minute, this is something else. This is, you know, like, this is something that is true, like truly happening right now. This is my brother once again. And Tanjiro may not be as strong as Yoriichi, but damn, he's sure powerful right now, with a perfected sun breathing of all forms and a perfected version of the see-through world, transparent world, whatever you want to call it, and so much more. Tanjiro is at his peak, at his absolute peak, and he helps against Kokushibo to the point where, yes, a lot of them are greatly injured, but nobody actually ends up dying, and nobody actually ends up kicking the bucket because of the extra help that is actually there. Now, there's no guarantee that anybody won't succumb to injuries before you know it, but at the end of the fight with Kokushibo, or the upper one, well, everybody is still alive, eventually leading to the Infinity Castle collapsing and all the Demon Slayers facing off with Muzan, and Tanjiro giving it his absolute and utmost all to defeat the king of all the demons. And with all the memories, with all these people still alive, and with even the stronger version of the kind of cure, Tanjiro is pushing himself and truly making himself even stronger as he fights. And eventually the defeat of Muzan would ensue, and he would even avoid being absorbed and even being turned into a demon in the first place, remembering the day that it happened and the people that he hurts. And he looks around to see the battlefield destroyed, but a lot of people, friends, loved ones, and all alike, survive, because Tanjiro Kamado, he came back in time from a winning scenario, came back in time from a time in a world where they won already, and he came back so that everybody else could have their happy ending, even if he personally still would not be able to have that happy ending with his family gone. But at the end of the day, he knows that he has more people, more loved ones, and more friends that he can now look at and know that they are going to have a happy, lucky, and amazing life, because he decided to push himself through the pain of coming back to the darkest time of his life. And that is the end of What If Tanjiro Was Reborn, with all of his memories. And if you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.